I'm Chris Frostdad. I'm President and CEO of Purepoint Uranium Group. We are a uranium exploration company operating in northern Saskatchewan in the Athabasca Basin, and we're looking forward to a joyous 2024.
Well, aren't we all? Well, look, to do that, you need to be primed and ready to go. You did a little raising recently with Orano. Tell us about that. Who are they? What did they come in for?
Well, that was near the end of last year, and it was a non-uranium project we have, but it was one of those things that we did during the slow years of uranium. We were looking around and picked up some other property in Saskatchewan. This happened to be close to a company called Orano Mining, who's developing a mine, a copper zinc project, actually. It's in Saskatchewan. And we hung onto the property, did a little work on it, and while we were doing that, they continued to develop a mine. They continued to explore down to our claim line, decided that we were in their way, and so we've been talking to them and optioned the property to them. So they're going to be working that property on our joint behalf, and if they earn all the way up, we'll continue to hold about 20%, or they can buy the rest of that for lots and lots of money. And but it was a good little side deal. And in the process, they also did a private placement with us and picked up some shares of uranium to Purepoint in order to take advantage of the uranium cycle. So that was a decent way to end the end of the year. And then, of course, we did a far bigger raise and raised the money that we'll be using to do our exploration this year.
The 4 million, right? Okay, so tidying up the portfolio balance sheet, as it were, and non-core assets, etc. So let's get back to focusing on the uranium component. Obviously, very, very positive market out there. Companies need to know how they're going to play this thing because there's going to be lots of new entrants. You've got to stand out from that new crowd coming in. How do you do it?
Yeah, it's getting a little crowded out there again. Yeah. Well, and the problem is really been people can't get a hold of property. I mean, in the neighborhood that we're dealing in is certainly it's a very uranium-rich area, and there's a lot of not much elbow room for people to get in. So a lot of the new projects that are getting picked up are actually just outside of the basin, or they're in other areas. But people are truly clamoring to get into the area. Our projects, we staked most of them quite some time ago, and we kind of kept them on maintenance during the downtime. But we're certainly back in vogue right now. So we're between the projects we've got, their location, the prospectivity that they've shown to date, and of course our partners Cameco and Orano. I think we're in pretty good stead to take advantage of this market.
Okay, so on paper it sounds good because you got Cameco and Orano and Hook Lake and Smart Lake. You've had them there a while, but they've been sort of hands off. In this kind of environment, this kind of price environment, we've seen Cameco make announcements about their ability to kind of do some of their restarts. They're sitting on a kind of big portfolio and with JV partners like yourself. Do you expect to start seeing them actually putting money down now?
Well, they seem to have. They've been, they continue to support this project in particular, which we appreciate greatly. And Orano seems to be the one where we sometimes have issue with budget more than Cameco. Cameco is pretty open to find them new stuff wherever they can. Orano, and we understand their position, is really, really focused on the eastern side of the basin where they need feed 5 or 10 years from now. So, they mix it up, but it's the nature of a partnership. We've got 3 different partners with different objectives. But in this case, they continue to support this particular project just because of the way that side of the province is opening up.
Do you expect to sort of see their strategies on that front change somewhat? Because you're sort of seeing this this kind of geopolitical divide. You've got the Kazatomprom even are struggling, perhaps trying to hit targets. They're kind of given guidance that might be not quite what they thought. But all of that's heading east, right? Mm-hmm. You kind of got this Russia, Chinese, Kazakh triumvirate, trying to, obviously do right by themselves. You've got the West talking a good game. Obviously, the French are going to build more reactors for Christ's sakes. It's getting on heavy out there. It's exciting in terms of the demand side of things. Surely the Oranos of this world, especially off the back of some of the stuff we've seen in Niger, etc. Surely they might be rethinking the strategy.
I'm not sure. They seem quite comfortable that they've got a lot of reserves all around the world. I mean, they've got a lot up in Nunavut as well. in Canada. They've got they seem to be quite comfortable with the fact that they've got lots of stuff to develop.
Right.
Cameco, on the other hand, who also has a lot of property to develop, or a lot of assets to develop, seems a little more open and keen to throwing more money at exploration and continuing to fill that pipeline.
Well, I think they're both sitting a lot of pounds on the ground, but I guess what will be interesting in terms of, how do they get it out of the ground sooner than perhaps they've currently got planned?
Yeah.
That's what everyone's going to be keen to see. And if they do, what does that do to price? Does that drive price up? Does it drop it back down? I mean, it's kind of hard to call out there.
Well, I think we're all watching the numbers that would suggest that nobody's going to be getting it out of the ground fast enough. There are assets sitting around, but oh my gosh, it's going to be hard hitting the targets that they need to hit. And particularly when you look at the numbers as to where they believe that the supply is coming from, a lot of that stuff has barely been identified, let alone put into development. So we're relying on a lot of smoke here to fill the reactors.
We are, and that's the problem. Okay, now you guys sit on a big portfolio of assets in and around the Athabasca Basin.
Yes.
You've raised some money, so clearly let's start with what you're going to try and control, and then what I want to get onto is how do you kind of manage that dilution or potential dilution, and what do you use, such as the vast portfolio that you have, to maybe negate that? So let's start with what you're going to do with your $4 million or so.
Sure. Well, we're focused. We're very focused on Hook Lake. I mean, that's the project that sits next to NexGen and Fission, and we're a lot of new discoveries are being made. F3's been making some good news over there. So that's an area that's of keen interest to us and our partners. The fact, and I've mentioned this before, the fact that they really can't free up budget for anything that doesn't look like it's going to be another whale, certainly gives us a lot of hope in that area as well. So they sort of validate the fact that we're out there spending money. Earlier last year, we did start to, we've been working on a new area out there. We did start to come into significant mineralization and more indications that we're starting to step into something bigger. The program actually ended on that note. So we're all very keen to get back out there. The drills have started maybe early next week. They're all out there now getting set up. It's been cold. But that's where a lot of our focus is going to be for the next couple of months, is on Hook Lake. But we do, you asked about the $4 million. We are, on the heels of that because we have partners on that Hook Lake project, our budgets are pretty much defined. So, once we're done that work, we have to move on to other things to keep ourselves busy for the rest of the year. So we schedule in the work we'll be doing at Red Willow, the work we'll be doing at Turner Lake, and other projects we have that definitely need to be, advanced and better understood.
Right. But can we come into the bit about, because I was intrigued about, in difficult markets, the game is stay alive and stay relevant and stay in the game.
Yes.
Right? When the markets kind of get a little bit heated like they are now, you're right, you're going to be getting a bunch of inbound about, have you got any assets that we could have? We want to start another uranium, just what we need, another uranium junior. But that's what's happening out there. We've received calls, lots of people expect receiving calls, and a lot of stuff being dusted off. Yours are a little bit better, I guess, known. Do you intend to monetize those in any way in the short term? Do you need to?
Well, again, in times that are good, the monetization, right? There isn't a shortage of capital right now to advance these projects. So for us to partner with other people on some of these projects isn't just a financial decision alone. And absolutely, we get the same inbound calls, and we do have projects that we would, gladly bring on partners for, because in a time like this, why not throw as much money and resources as you can at getting them advanced and getting them moving along? But again, you have to be careful who you partner with. We've seen a lot of people JVing with each other or with other small little people trying to put a uranium bumper sticker on their lithium company, and it comes back at you. They go out there, they spend a few bucks, they don't have the money to continue going, and they throw it back at you. So, we see a lot of this recycling back and forth, and it's not really creating value. It's not really advancing the projects. It's just shuffling money around. So, we like I say, we're more than happy to and we have spoken with, and we continue to speak now with other companies where it may make sense to partner. from a strategic standpoint to get these things advanced. But by and large, all of the newly minted uranium companies coming to the space they're a danger for us to try and partner with at this point, because they don't have any legs yet.
They don't, and they don't have the experience. And yeah, we saw that with lithium last year, to be fair. We saw lots of gold companies, silver companies wanted to become lithium companies, and they did. And it hasn't kind of worked out. But it kind of feels like uranium's different. It doesn't kind of feel like, it doesn't behave like a commodity in a market like we're seeing. And I don't suspect, well, you tell me, is this just a spike?
Well, no, I don't think it's a spike, and I think we know that from the demand numbers that we see coming in the reactors that are being built. I mean, this is a little different than it was 15 years ago. This one really seems to be taking off. And then the other side of that is the size of the uranium market is so small. I mean, it's interesting. I think the world may trade about $10 billion worth of uranium a year, but there's $800 billion worth of coal produced every year, and there's $30 billion worth of tin produced every year. So it's a relatively small market, and so it doesn't take a lot of money to push it around. We've said this before, and when things get tight, you're going to see things moving. So I don't think it's a spike. I think it's actually a commodity that where the supply is going to become a real issue over the next few years, for sure.
Right. So given that kind of that demand profile that we all see coming with these infrastructure bills, reactor bills, SMR bills, etc., you could argue a strategy for someone like you guys sitting on portfolio like you are is just sit and wait until these things will continue to increase in value, paper value. Can you afford to do that?
Well, again,
can you afford to do that, given the length of time it takes to build these things out?
I mean, this is exploration, right? We're not sitting on a resource that we're gonna throw a cover over and wait till it becomes more valuable. This is exploration, and all of us exploration companies have, until we have something, we have nothing. So, to wait for our real estate to monetize our real estate because it's going to go up in value, it's not going to go up as much in value as if we actually find something there, and if we actually develop a resource on that property. So I think this is not a time to be sitting on our thumbs waiting for the market to get better and better. This is the time to take advantage of a hot market and actually put your hands on a proper resource and monetize that.
Okay, so as a retail investor, I'm trying to work out. There's going to be a lot of white noise coming down. There's a lot of white noise now. Very bullish. A lot of white noise coming down the line. I'm going to start to get confused. If you guys are all saying the same thing, it's difficult to differentiate where I deploy my capital and becomes a kind of crapshoot, right?
Right.
So what do I look for? What's important? What's not important?
Well, I think it's probably easy to say that it's too hard for investors to differentiate my project and my property from my neighbor's property. Then we're getting into a lot of technical conversations that there's going to be a lot of hand waving. It's going to be hard to hold up. I think what investors need to be looking for is a couple of things. Some longevity, right? I mean, it's easier, like in the same way it's easier to invest in a Cameco who's been producing uranium for a lot of years than it is someone who's going to be producing for the first time. I think it's easy to say that if you're looking at an exploration company that has been working in the basin, been working in this area for longer than the last 3 months, there's some comfort that they're going to continue to be here for a long time, and we're certainly not the only ones that have been there for the long haul. There's a number of us out there, so investors should be looking for that. I think again the partners in our case are key. Where you see majors or larger companies investing downstream, or leaning on exploration companies to do their exploration for them, that's certainly a good sign of validation that things are going well. And again, I would say we're not the only exploration company working in Saskatchewan who has some big brothers helping them along. So I mean those are two indications that an investor can look to get some comfort around, to differentiate between what they're looking at, for sure. Because there's way too much simple geography involved in the promotion of some of these things. We happen to be in Saskatchewan, therefore we're going to find uranium in an hour and a half, and that it doesn't work that way.
It does not.
It's not a big sheet of uranium sitting up there in Saskatchewan. Yeah.
there's not. We know people have been struggling to actually make a discovery, so I know. Okay, with regards to, again, looking at the market, I think I mentioned to you before we started. I think the conversation with John Baglio, Sprott Physical Uranium Trust, saying they've talked to like 250 companies over the last 3 weeks, generalists, investors, trying to educate them, brokers, so they can make recommendations to their customers about uranium broadly, not just uranium financial products, but equities as well. There's a lot of money looking. Are you seeing that correlate into lots of money being made available, being deployed? Because I'm not sure I am yet, but do you expect it to? Have you been getting a lot of inbound from?
Yeah, we're seeing a lot, and we're hearing a lot more. Yeah, absolutely. Big ticket dollars through private placements going into exploration, a lot into exploration, a lot into development. Like that money seems to be available more and more and more than.
Is it new money though? I guess that's what I'm asking. Is it new money?
New money. Than existing? You know what? I'm not sure if the new money has really started to hit the table yet. We are getting a lot of inbound calls. A lot of people just want to understand the market, as you say. A lot of funds, more generalist funds, that just want to sit and talk about uranium for an hour or two and get a better handle on it because they're getting ready and getting pressured to deploy into the market and looking and trying to understand where that money should be going. But it seems to be pent up and looking for a place to start.
Right. Okay. And so if I may, going to go slightly full circle back to Hook, like if it may, because it is the focus for you guys. Obviously, as a regular junior, you'd have a whole different set of priorities than if you have partners, like deep-pocketed partners, as you do. Where do they want to take that to? Because you have a small piece of it. Are they the lead? Who does the drilling? How do you have conversations about the where, the what, and the how?
It's a very good relationship, and they're very good about the fact that if you're the operator, you're the operator. Like That's your job. We got work to do. You got work to do. So the typical process is that we will start to hear budget numbers in and around August, September.
Right. Okay.
We will go in November, and we will propose the plan for the new year. They will usually herd in a whole bunch of their people and throw darts at it for a while. But at the end of the day, it's our call as to what we do. We agree more on a budget. The technical process as to what we're going to do and where we're going to do it is left up to us with their input, and then we execute. It's our people that go out there and set it up and go.
Okay, but obviously they are sort of joint and equal major shareholder in yourselves at, what are you, 21%, something like that?
We have 21%, yes.
21%, right? Okay, and you get a management fee for operating, et cetera. So for you guys, the management fee kind of keeps the lights on in a way. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean it's like, it's smart. For you, when you look at your portfolio, where's the real value and the kind of growth come from, either in terms of some kind of monetization event or in terms of something which kind of builds, real value for a company? For
it's almost as though it's a separate opportunity over there, because we're sitting in a district that is opening up like crazy. The world has now realized in the last 5-10 years that there is a lot of uranium sitting on the other side of the province, and we're sitting right in the middle of it. And we have, and we've got majors who are keenly interested in finding more of it over there. And we all know that at some point in time, this stuff is going to have to be consolidated. Like, as much as Fission and NexGen want to duke it out, that stuff will never make sense to produce independently. And it may not even make sense for them to be the producer, because these things have gotten so big. It may require a much larger mining company to come in and actually put something that large into production. So there's lots of activity going to happen over there, probably in the next 5 years. We're in the middle of it. We're a major participant. At some point in time, this thing will have to be monetized, because we're certainly not going to be taking this thing into production ourselves. And so that's the opportunity we see at Hook Lake and Smart Lake, for that matter. So that's what goes on there. On the other side of the province, these are projects we all own 100% of. And those are opportunities that we are going to deploy more money against. Remember, it's fairly inexpensive for us to operate with our partnerships because we're only responsible for 20% of the budget as well. But on the other side of the province, that's our 100% owned projects. We have to be careful how we deploy money there because it's all ours, and make sure that we're prioritizing in a very different fashion. So, but that's a completely different opportunity for us to identify something new and big and ride that up in a different way.
Okay, so I just want to be kind of clear because I think that's sort of, as a reference to say at the beginning, it's like staying in the game. And during tough markets, 10 years of tough markets, these deals make sense. And I think guess going for Smart Lake and Hook Lake, it's a means to an end. And so there's some monetization event which then allows you to head east towards your project on the east side of the basin at 100% owned, and at least start from a cash position to allow you to choose the order of play, as it were.
Sure.
I understand. Makes sense. Absolutely makes sense. Good.
But let me almost say this, because people are always suggesting that we need to monetize something in order to do other work and this and the other thing. We're an exploration company. We have no revenue. The only way we raise money to put in the ground and find something new is by issuing shares. So, people get concerned about dilution in the exploration business. Well, it's what we do. It's part of the game. It's not even part of the game. It's part of the business. It's what we do. So yeah, get upset if a developer or producer is is diluting the heck out of themselves. But an exploration company does and has to. That's what
it does. But I guess what people are looking for, that's fine. Everyone should know that. You're going to raise money, drill. But as long as you're kind of building up an asset which has perceived future value, all good.
Right.
Right? In some way. And part of that future value could be an exit. Nothing wrong with that, right? Mm-hmm. Nothing wrong with that. Or it could be just build something big that will be valuable to whether it's a joint venture with or some strategic investment or however you want to move that thing forward, whatever you do. So no problem. But I just want to be really clear just with your thing. And I think you have been today about what the possibilities are with the Hook Lake and Smart Lake. And then what are the opportunity it brings you with the projects on the east into an environment like we're seeing. So at the moment, it is pure play exploration. I get it. Could it be more? I don't know. I don't know if your intent is ever to develop something much further along the kind of economic study phases or not.
But you're right. I mean, the Hook Lake and the Smart Lake partnerships have allowed us the stability to be in the game and to continue to be in the game to do all the other things that we need to do as an exploration company. Absolutely. So
in a non-dilutive way.
In a non-dilutive way. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I'm good with that. Nice. No, right. Okay. Just a little bit of market commentary from you. Obviously, we referenced some of this of geopolitics out there, east versus west bifurcated market continuing. Hopefully, uranium spot price and hopefully the term contracts catch up as well. North America, very, very important. You've referenced maybe some kind of roll-ups in the basin. Do you see more of that happening across North America as a whole?
More what?
So roll-ups, mergers, acquisitions.
Yeah, absolutely. I think especially at the development stage. Right. I mean, this is where I see some stuff getting rolled up. People keep asking us about on the exploration side, and it really is too tough. And believe me, we've looked at it so many times over the last 10, 15 years of how do you start putting these things together. And at the end of the day, it doesn't make sense. It makes sense to put projects together, specific projects. But to take all of our projects and put them together with all of somebody else's projects and reprioritize everything and whatever, it never creates value for the shareholders. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me anymore. I mean, we've looked at it a number of times. I do think that we will see, where as people come up with good projects and these assets start to develop, they will be picked up by some of the developers for sure. And I could see some of the M&A happening, amongst the producers as well. I mean, we've certainly seen UEC get out there and pick up, some great assets along the way, and move in. I expect that our friends at Denison will be doing the same. So yeah, absolutely, I can see that happening. but only not in exploration. I guess that's my bottom line. What I think.
Yeah. Well, something's consolidated.
Now, having said that, there's some interesting horse trading going on right now.
Yeah,
we do see that amongst the exploration companies, because I mean we all know each other, we're all friendly, and it's kind of like, got it, need it, and you're swapping out baseball cards here because this project makes more sense to me on my side where I am. That project makes sense over there. Can we move some of that stuff around? That makes a lot of sense, and it's allowing us, and again, these are the people that have been around for a little while. It's allowing us to explore more efficiently, more effectively. From a permitting standpoint, from a lot of different standpoints, it makes sense, and that's good to see. There's a lot of intelligence around that.
It's a lot of intelligence. I think that those things. And so before you go, I think we've seen a lot of the consolidators. It's worth more to them in the sense that the multiples are there, the access to cash is there, and the perceived value in scale is there as well. So I'm just going to see, even on the exploration side, if it does kind of pick up somewhat, but as a kind of very fractious market in North America, US specifically, it'd be interesting to see how uranium.
Well, and because it's so tight out there, I mean, from a staking claim sort of perspective, it does get a bit checkerboardy. And if you're trying to get some elbow room around your project where things are going good, that gets tough. So that's where we see a lot of the baseball card analogy coming into play here and swapping things out.
Okay, Chris, you've been waiting a while for this moment. I guess there's a smile and a skip in your step for 2024. Stay in touch. Let us know how you get on with stuff, and obviously as you get back out there in the field. And we look forward to speaking to you soon.
Very good. Thanks a lot, Matthew.